Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting expert interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. If you haven't checked out the all-new FlipNerd.com yet, please go check it out. A lot's changed and we have a lot of stuff going on, thousands of new members, and it's an exciting place to be right now. For today's show, I'm joined by my friend, Matt Theriault. Matt is a real estate investor. He's a turnkey provider. He's a mentor and a coach. He's an entrepreneur. He's got a lot of stuff going on, which we'll talk about today. He's also a veteran of the Marine Corps and a fellow podcaster. He actually operates several podcasts. And again, a good friend of mine. A common issue for real estate investors is that it's easy for us to get distracted, especially the entrepreneurial types that are distracted by shiny objects and those that can never get enough kind of education and want to just keep learning instead of taking action. So it's real easy to get distracted. And Matt is here today to tell us how to clear that distraction, how to get focused, and how to achieve the results that you want. So it's going to be a great episode from somebody that really knows what he's talking about. Before we get started with today's episode, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days with rates starting as low as 9%. For more information, call 888-296-1697. B2R Finance makes loans tailored specifically for rental investors. They can help you unlock equity from existing properties so you can get cash to grow your rental portfolio. That's huge, and it opens up lots of opportunities previously not available to rental investors. Need a loan? Call 855-819-4412 or visit b2rfinance.com today. National Real Estate Insurance Group is the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. We'd also like to thank Crestar Funding, Mid-Atlantic IRA, and Renters Warehouse. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Matt, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, good to see you. So, we were just talking about it right before we started recording. You were on the show almost 200 episodes ago. It was show number 27, way back when I was just a little infant figuring stuff out, and now I'm not an infant, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Right. Well, I think we always will be trying to figure it out. And congratulations, by the way. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, so. Thanks. No, it's been fun. I really love the chance to hear other people's stories and meet new people. I mean, even guys like you, we didn't know each other before, and now we see each other regularly in the same mastermind and a number of other things. So aside from, just growing the show, it's been enriching for me to make a lot of new friends and new friendships and learn what a lot of other people are doing, because as soon as you think you're the smartest guy in the room and you get around a bunch of smart people, you realize that you're not.
Right. For sure.
Well, hey, before we start talking about getting focused, and I know you've got some good stuff to share with us today, tell us your story again about how you got into real estate investing, how you find yourself where you are today.
Sure. I'll cut to the chase, so to speak. Right. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I spent the next 13, 14 years of my life in the music business, pursuing my passion, living my dream, and I made my millions by the time I was 30. And then this little thing called the digital download came along, this old company called Napster. I don't even know if they're around anymore. But they came along and just kind of turned the whole industry upside down, and it changed the way people consume music.
Yep.
And me being I made all of my money off of selling CDs, compact discs. That's what CD stands for in case people don't even remember. I think about my son now. He's 4 years old. He won't even know what a compact disc is. And that just blows my mind. Yep. Let alone a cassette or an LP or an 8-track cassette.
Corded phone.
Right? Yeah. What's this thing on the phone that's tied to the wall? So as that digital download came along, and it basically in 6 months, it happened just really fast that it put me out of business. I ended up bankrupt, and when the money goes, so does the wife. So I was divorced, and at age 34 years old, I found out that I wasn't really qualified to do anything else as far as the job world or the corporate world goes. And so I ended up bagging groceries. So had to eat, right? And so I did that for about 6 months, whole lot of soul searching, had no idea what I was going to do next. All I knew was I wanted to do something that made money because I missed my previous lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, I got to go learn something else. So where's the best opportunity, or where are my chances the best of success of where I can make a lot of money?
Yeah.
And of the most unlikely source came from or a quote came from the grocery store manager. He had said, real estate has created more millionaires and billionaires than any other industry or investment vehicle. And I was like, well, if it's created more, it must be the easiest place to make it happen, knowing knowing human nature and how us humans follow the path of least resistance. So if that's where it was, then that's what I was going to pursue. And within 24 hours, I was in school to get my real estate license, thinking that going the path of the real estate agent was the way that I wanted to go.
Right.
Or, not that I wanted to go. I thought that's just what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And after 4 years as a real estate agent, realized that if I wanted to make all this money, I'm probably sitting on the wrong side of the desk.
Yeah.
So I had some clients that were doing very well, some investor clients. And I was like, I would rather do what they're doing than doing what I'm doing. And so I've invested in a very large educational program. And, as they say, the rest is history. And about that same time was when I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I got introduced to the concept of passive income. And to escape that rat race, I had to get that passive income to exceed my expenses. And once I had that formula and I had armed with that education, I was off and running. And in 3.5 years, I was able to do that, to get that passive income to exceed my expenses.
So share some of the lessons a little bit of, having done well in another space and then moved over into real estate. Obviously, it was a hard. I'm sure that wasn't easy. That's not easy for anybody. But I know that you get something inside of you when you've been successful as a real estate investor or as an entrepreneur, to where, and since I know you personally, I know there's more of this, is that you're constantly finding other irons to put in the fire, because that's never going to happen again. You're never going to allow, something might do well, something might not do well, but you've got multiple things going on and you know how to just pick it up and recreate it at the drop of a hat if you need to.
Right. The big lesson that I learned from the music industry, actually there's two big lessons. One was you don't have to do it all yourself. I was such a control freak. I didn't want anyone to have any input on the music, on the artwork, on the artists that I signed, or where we were going to perform, where we were going to advertise, what we were going to promote, and what format we were going to release each project in.
Yeah.
I had my hands in all of that, and I wouldn't allow anybody near any of it. And that's a really tough way. A tough way to build a business.
Yeah.
It's only going to get so big if you operate your business that way. So I made sure that I'm not making that same mistake again. I'm still a little bit of a control freak. It's still a little bit more difficult, or still difficult to let things go. But I know it is for the greater good, and it's for the best of the company. Yeah. So that's one big thing that I've learned is to delegate more. The second thing that I've learned is to eliminate all single points of failure. So that's where I got that lesson. I sold CDs and that was it. I had one distributor that sold those CDs and that was it. And when the public stopped buying those CDs, I lost my income stream. And about 6 months after I went bankrupt and was out of the business, I believe that that distributor actually sold their whole CD manufacturing plant. So that was done, and I had no other stream of income coming. We had T-shirts and stuff, but it didn't even register in the books.
Yeah.
So as I'm moving into real estate, I decided I'm never going to go back to bagging groceries again. I need to diversify. I need multiple streams of income. So I started with the single family residence. That's what I was focused on in one part in the north Midwest, up in Illinois. I picked up enough property there to get me out of the rat race. And then I just kind of
And that's while you were living in California, right?
Yeah, that's why I was living in California. I had made some good connections through that educational program.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I was kind of looking at that like, oh my gosh, here I am. All of my eggs are in this one small little basket managed by this one person. I need to start diversifying. So I moved to Memphis, started buying properties there. Then we moved to St. Louis, started buying properties there. And then we're up in Cleveland, and now we're in 10 different markets.
Yeah.
And about halfway through that journey and that expansion, one of our property managers in Memphis went down, and we were without property management on 60 properties in that area. And I was like, okay, so I've diversified markets, but now I need to diversify my team. I need to diversify my property managers. I need to diversify my contractors. So we started diversifying that. So now in each market, I have at least 2 property managers, at least 2 contractors, at least 2 realtors.
Yeah.
And then we started to diversify the property type. So I picked up a multifamily. So I've got multifamilies, I've got duplexes, and I've got single families. So now I feel like I'm pretty well distributed across the country, distributed throughout different teams and throughout different property types. So I feel pretty secure in my real estate there.
Yeah. That's great advice. I think a lot of people, it's hard, especially when you're starting off, if you have just a few rental properties. It's like, well, you're not going to, it's hard to split those up into 2 property managers.
Right.
And I had a property manager early on, and we bought a house that was a little bit more hoodie than what he wanted. It was, we tended to have more B class properties, and this was probably like C minus. And he's like, well, why don't you give that to find somebody else that wants to manage those? So I went out and tried to find somebody, and he's like, well, yeah, I'll take that one, but I want all the other ones too. So then I went back to my property manager, and he's like, he wants them all. Like, why would he split these up? I can't just give somebody my crap. Right. And then that's when my property manager realized, I'm at the, I could lose all this, but yeah, it's hard to split it up if you don't have a lot of properties. So,
right. I think once it hits a point where, when I got my first 4 or 5 properties, it wasn't really necessary, because if I lost those 4 or 5 properties, it didn't mean I was going back to back in groceries.
Right.
Once your portfolio starts representing your livelihood,
right,
then that's the point where you really want to start thinking about diversifying.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I know you mentor and coach a lot of people, and you have a lot of great programs. So you and I both know that it's super easy for people to get distracted in this business, and people have, they have the stuff that we all have: jobs, families, other responsibilities that you have to do in your life. On top of that, real estate investors have a lot of noise of the coolest strategy of the day or the next investing strategy. There's just a ton of education and information out there that gets people thinking about, I'm going to wholesale. No, maybe I should buy notes. They're just kind of all over the place because there's a different flavor every day. So there's a lot of noise out there to get distracted. So
right.
How do people kind of clear the clutter and just say, I'm going to do, this is exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let that other stuff get in my way?
Sure. Regardless of what strategy you're going to choose, whether it's fancy and it's something seems brand new, or if it's, I just want to do commercial, I just want to do single family, I'm only going to do duplexes in the southeast of the country, or whatever it may be. I'm going to flip lease options. People doing all this stuff, different stuff together, and say reverse wholesaling. It's all these words that didn't even exist, a couple of years ago, and now there's strategies.
Yeah.
But they all have
you heard of the upside down rehab?
I did not hear about that one yet.
It's coming, my friend.
Okay, very good. So regardless of which strategy you're going to pursue, first of all, pick one, okay, and understand that they're all difficult. They're all they all have that sizzle in the beginning. They all have great success stories that are going to draw you in, but you're going to get to a point with each one of those strategies where you get stuck and oh, wow, this is work. This is more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Right. You hit that point in every single strategy. If there's money to be made there, you're going to hit that point. Seth Godin has the book called The Dip, and that's what we call that part, the dip. So they all have a dip. But what they all have in common, and this is where I've had this amazing breakthrough with my coaching clients in the last 6 months, is you got to generate leads. If you're not generating leads, you don't have a business. So that's got to be the primary focus. You have to generate enough leads, enough people to talk to, enough people that own property that are likely or potentially willing to sell to you. That's your number one job as a real estate investor.
Right.
You got to have that. And second, I think this is so funny, but people hear me on that and they start working and they start generating these leads, and then they don't call them all back. Yeah. Or they call them back once and then, he didn't answer the phone. No, you've got to call them all back, every single one, whether they left a message for you or whether they just hung up. You got to call every single one of them back. A good portion of our deals come from people that did not leave a message initially. So you can't let those go by. And then if they don't answer, you have to keep on following up. We have a system in place right now where we call the person back 8 times within the first 6 days. So they get a call back right as soon as the lead comes in. If they don't answer, they get called back in within 3 hours, and then one more time before the end of the day, and then each day for up to 6 days, and then they drop into a 30-day follow up. Yeah. But you got to hit them quick, and you got to follow up, because I forget what the sales statistic is, but most people don't get contact, or you don't reach your full potential until that 7th or 8th follow-up is where all the money is made.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people give up. I think I'm sure we've seen the same stat before. A lot of people give up after like the 3rd time. They don't even call again, or 2nd or 3rd time,
Right.
something really early on. And I've shared, I don't know if I've shared this on the show, but a few people lately, this year alone, or in the past couple months, I know of a couple deals that we've had. One was the lead was 52 months old. We generated it 52 months earlier, and we had a few that were like a year or 2 plus. And in that time, sometimes people would, we use virtual assistants to do a lot of our follow-up, phone call follow-up, because I would give up after 2 or 3 times. I've got to outsource that.
Right.
And so there's issues in there where people say, call left message, call left message, call left message, but they just kept calling every 30 days or so, like you say. And there was even an issue where as soon as they heard who I was, I heard a TV in the background and they hung up on me. But they didn't say stop calling, so we kept calling them. And eventually we bought the house. It's crazy that people would give up after this. Somebody hung up on me, or they said, no, I'm not interested in selling, and they hang up. And it's like, well, they didn't say stop calling, so we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, about 8 or 9 months ago, and you witnessed this, everybody's witnessed this, is that if they're in the game, they've witnessed this shift in the market.
Yeah.
And, that we went through this analytical, sterile environment where you could, you go to auction houses, or you could buy HUD homes, or all the number of the online auction sites. And you just it was just a numbers game, just just keep submitting offers, and you got deals that way.
Yeah.
And then when the market started to shift and a lot of that inventory started to dry up, or at least the profit margins started to dry up as well, we all had to go back to becoming marketers. We had to do that direct selling and direct marketing to potential motivated sellers.
Right.
So when that happened and everybody kind of flooded the market with the direct mail, and we noticed almost right away that our response rate on our direct mail started to drop as well. And that was pretty steady over the next few months. And so what we decided was direct mail, it's too expensive to let any of that go to waste.
Sure.
So we made sure that we kept the lead machine going. We did not pull back on that. We made sure that everybody got called back. That's when we implemented that follow-up system. But the third thing that we did is everybody gets an offer. Everybody.
Okay. Physical offer, you're saying?
Physical offer.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and we'll mail them out one. And then we follow up with a phone call saying, hey, I just sent an offer to you. Would you like me to email a copy to you as well so you can see it right now?
Yeah.
And then we get the email address. So now we got the email follow-up. We got the mail follow-up. Because kind of what you were saying is, you hire a VA to follow up every 30 days and you get this lead a year or 2 later that actually turns into a deal. I mean, we do the same thing, but also having a physical piece of paper in that person's house that sits on their desk, sits on their coffee table, or sits inside the drawer of their desk.
Right.
That physical copy, when that need comes, because they called you for a reason. They called, when was the last piece of junk mail you called? I've never called a piece of junk mail because I'm not a motivated seller.
Right.
But the person that called you, they called you for a reason. And it might not be urgent today, but they might see something coming down the line that might cause them to be a little bit more motivated.
Sure. Things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I guess in life, if things are not going well, they tend to get a little bit worse before they get better,
Yeah.
And so when that urgency hits a point where, okay, I need to sell the house now.
Yep.
Who's the person they're going to call? They might sell that house to the person that calls that day. And if you're lucky, then you can land that one. Or they're going to say, hey, I got this one offer. Where'd that one offer go? I remember there's an offer here. Let's see if that's still valid.
Yep.
And so between those 3 things, generating the leads, make sure everyone gets contacted, make sure everyone gets an offer. That's turned our whole business around, and it's turned around the business of all my coaching clients as well. I mean,
That's
my coaching
great.
clients, they've read all the books, they've attended all the online webinars, they've gone to the workshops, they've been in other people's coaching programs, and they've learned stuff, and they've got little bits of success here and there. But this was the real breakthrough. They got to have these 3 systems in place, or else I don't allow them to ask any other questions.
Yep. So leads, follow up, and what else?
Offers. Yep.
Leads, offers, and follow ups.
I don't even allow them to talk about anything else, Mike.
Yeah.
If you don't have those 3 things in place, that's where you can't talk about it. I don't care about the guy who's thinking about selling. I don't care about this might or might not be a deal, or what do I do? Because the last 3 calls I got were all short sales. I was like, well, how many leads are you generating? And have you called them all back? And did everybody get an offer?
Yeah.
And almost always they would say no. I say, okay, great. We'll talk about what you want to talk about next week, but we need to get this done first.
Yeah.
And once they all started to get that, it all started to click, and they all started making money, and now they're all doing really, really well to where they don't need me that much anymore. Because all that noise around the outside that so people get worried about, it goes away if you have those 3 systems in place.
Yeah, once you get it, and once you get a deal or kind of a taste of when the light bulb goes off that, aha, this works. I get it now, and you see that it's easy to get a lot more focused.
Exactly.
Because you just want to do that again. You've seen it work from idea to money in your bank account. Mm-hmm. And then it's easier to just say, okay, that other stuff, it might work, but I know this works because I just saw it myself. Right. I'm going to go rinse and repeat.
Well, the thing is, Mike, it all works.
Yeah.
If you have those 3 systems in place.
Right.
Every strategy will work.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those, none of them will.
Yeah.
Or they'll work every once in a while.
What do you kind of coach people on in terms of like lead generation? That's another area where it's easy to get distracted because there's so many different ways you can generate leads. Obviously, direct mail is pretty common for real estate investors and kind of the first place most people go. But, you got people that want to go out and do bandit signs, or I need to, there's a whole bunch of different ideas. And what ends up happening is similar to some confusion in just your overall investing business is everybody's going to tell you something different in terms of what works from a lead generation standpoint. How do you kind of help people get focused there?
Well, I think there's 2 ways to generate leads. There's the best way, and then there's the fastest way. And I believe the best way is through relationships. It's creating a network that you can contact saying, hey, I need a deal.
Yep.
Or, hey, I got a deal to sell. You ready to buy? You ready to buy? That's the best way. And that's how a big portion of my business is built. But that takes a while. I mean, those are relationships, and it takes a while to create relationships. So the fastest way, it's direct mail. I mean, the roadside signs work, but they're kind of labor intensive. And then if you
kind of illegal in some places.
Kind of illegal in some places. So, I mean, but they still work, and my clients still use them, and that's fine. I'm just a little bit lazier than that I don't like to go out and run the streets.
Yeah. At 3 in the morning with a black ski mask on.
That's right. I've done that too many times in my life. But I haven't seen a real need to go outside of direct mail. Until the phone stops ringing, I'm going to keep on doing it. So I think it's the easiest. It's the easiest. It's the fastest. The drawback is it does come with an expense.
Yeah.
But it's the fastest way to generate business. And the leads that come in, you're going to get calls from, particularly if you're promoting to absentee owners. All you're doing is talking to other real estate investors all day long.
Right.
So you create some amazing relationships, and those. And then if you're posting ads on Craigslist and the online classifieds, wholesalers call you. So there's more relationships that you're generating and creating. So, start creating those relationships and nurturing those relationships from day one. But if you want results quickly, start mailing at the same time. And pretty soon those things they'll kind of cross where you can do less and less mailing and the relationships can take over.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that this is a big part of your business, the networking part of creating a network, not just of people that could send you a lead, but students or groups of people, masterminds and stuff like that, where people do deals amongst each other. And I think a lot of real estate investors, when they're new, think, I need to go direct to the source and I need to sell it and cut out all the middlemen. Mm-hmm. But you and I both know that there's a lot of opportunity when you bring enough people together to share deals amongst each other to where everybody wins. I mean, talk about that a little bit, because I think that's counterintuitive, especially to a lot of newer people.
Yeah, I think people that have never done a deal before, or maybe they got lucky and got one done, mm-hmm. I think they view other real estate investors as competition.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong way to go about it. I mean, there could be certain situations where you're competing for the same deal, but I think there's a lot more value to get from real estate investors than there is that fear of losing anything
right
from interacting with other real estate investors. So people are always buying, people are always selling, and they buy and sell back and forth to each other. People are upgrading, they're downsizing, they're retiring, or they're going to restart their business, or they're going to a different area. The thing I like about dealing with other real estate investors, it's almost always numbers driven.
Right.
It's not, you're not talking to someone in pre-foreclosure or someone in bankruptcy or just went through a divorce when they're thinking, you have this extra emotional element in the conversation.
Right. That is emotional.
Right. Now you're part psychologist and counselor, and so I like dealing with other real estate investors just because it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And, And you'll get deals, even though it is a numbers game. Because, I might have held a property for 5 years that I got a 33% cash on cash return from at the very beginning. So after 3 years, I was whole and complete. And then the next 2 years were all profit for me. So yeah, if I need to get rid of this to free up some cash or just because I want to go somewhere else, then I'll sell it at a discount. I already got my money out of it. I already made money back. And and everything I'm going to sell right now is going to be more money as well. Yep. That's going to be 100% pure profit.
Right.
So, you get that mentality with other investors, and they're more open to those types of deals. So that's
I think that's an evolutionary thing. Like you realize over time, because I will say early on, I felt like everybody was my competition. For a while, I felt that way. And then until you start to realize well, maybe there's a way for us to work together, or there would even be people that, I couldn't pay what they wanted for it. But I said, but I can close in like 24 hours. So if you have any problems selling that, then come back to me. Every once in a while they did. And it's not that they didn't want to get more. It's not that I didn't want to give them more for it, which it probably is true. I did want to give them more for it. But it was like, well, I served a purpose because I was able to get them out from under something they needed to sell quickly if another deal fell through or something else. So there's a win-win there in a lot of instances that people don't realize early on, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I love the question. Well, if you're so good at finding deals, why don't you just keep them all? It's like, I don't have enough money to buy them all. Yeah. And I don't want them all. Right. I'm good at finding deals, but they just don't fit my criteria. And so, yeah.
That's another reason. I mean, not everything. I had somebody else on the show earlier, and we were talking about they just rehabbed 100%. Well, the problem is you're going to end up getting something that's too far away from where you live, or it's in the hood, or there's something that you don't want to rehab. It's hard to be 100% rehabber because invariably you're missing out on deals that you don't want to rehab that you could wholesale to somebody else and make money on and do good for somebody else too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
The best analogy is a guy who used to work here in the office came up with. When the tuna fisherman goes out to the ocean to catch all of the tuna, he's going to catch mackerel as well. He's going to have little stingrays in there, and he's going to have bonita in there. He's going to have all this other type of fish that he accidentally caught while he was fishing for the tuna.
Right.
So he can bring it all back in, and he can still sell the mackerel at the fish market. He can still sell the bonita, and he can keep the tuna for himself.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got too much tuna, so he's not going to eat all of the tuna.
Right.
So when I heard that analogy, I was like, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly how it
Very
works.
insightful. Well, Matt, so what kind of just share wrap it up here in terms of a summary in terms of how people can really kind of stay focused or get focused. If right now they are all over the board, a lot of times they may not really realize that they're all over the place. But what advice would you give to people to just kind of get focused, how to stay focused, and maybe check up every once in a while to make sure that you haven't kind of gotten off the reservation? But what's some kind of general advice to get there and stay there?
Well, if your business is failing to meet your expectations, regardless of what level you're at, if you're not doing as much business as you want to be doing, you got to, like, a little bit reiterating myself, but go back. Are you generating enough leads to do the business that you want to do?
Yep.
That's number one. And forget everything else. If that piece of the puzzle is not in place, it doesn't matter how much you hope for your business to grow, or how much sleep you lose, or how much you stress out over it. If you don't have the leads there, you're not going to do the type of business that you want to be doing. So that's the first focus. The second is don't waste that lead generation money. Don't waste all that energy. So make sure that you actually contact the leads, or have a system in place that those leads get contacted. Whether it's, you and I, Mike, we don't really like to do that anymore. 1 or 2 phone calls and we're done. But you and I know that they have to be contacted 7, 8 times to really maximize that lead.
Right.
And so that's number 2, is put a system in place to make sure every lead gets contacted. And 3, make sure everybody gets an offer. And don't think about anything else. You're not even allowed to think about anything else until those 3 pieces of the puzzle are in place in your business.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
And it doesn't matter what strategy it is, whether you're a wholesaler or a rehabber, buy and hold, wholesale and lease options, reverse wholesaling. What's the upside down fix and flip you're talking about? whatever strategy that you're doing, that's what they all have in common. And if you don't have those 3 things in place, you're not going to succeed at any of them.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, one more thing I wanted to ask about is I know you have a live event coming up really in real soon here. So tell us about what you have going on there and how people could learn more.
Sure. It's June 18th, 19th, and 20th in Universal Studios, California. And it'll be a 3-day event. where we're basically teaching the exact 3 systems that I just kind of went over with you on how to generate those leads and keep those coming in steadily, keep them coming in consistently in spite of yourself. Yeah. And second is a contact system, so everybody gets contacted with not just a phone call, but a text message and an email. And I show you how to get their text message numbers, and I show you how to get their email addresses and how to put that whole thing on an autoresponder so it happens automatically for you.
Wow.
And then we've got a push button offer system. That's absolutely amazing. And you just click a button and boom, it's automatically mailed out. I can't think of anything easier to do. And so that's what we've implemented in our business. I've helped my coaching clients implement it in theirs. And now they're getting the results that they've always wanted. And so it's not going to just be me either, though. The people, the experts that help me implement this in my business are going to be there as well.
Awesome.
And so they'll be sharing all that information live on stage. It's our first live event. So
that's awesome, man.
Exciting.
How do people learn more? Where do they go?
You can go to epicintensive.com. epicintensive.com. That's where you can sign up for either a 2-day pass or a 3-day pass. The third day is a sneak peek. You get to look behind the curtain of our Epic Insiders Mastermind. And then you'll also be able to attend the VIP dinner with us as well that night. So that's the difference between the 2-day and the 3-day pass.
Awesome. Well, so epicintensive.com. We'll add a link down below the video for the people that are driving right now.
Super.
But cool, man. Well, good luck with that. That's exciting.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And congratulations to you on this 200th and umpteenth episode.
Yeah, two
and congratulations on the launch of Flip Nerd. I know you've been working on it for a long time, and I know
we put a lot into it.
I
think we've got. Hopefully, we're on to something here. We've got. But to be honest, I'm thankful for you and a lot of other people that have been on the show coming back a second time. We'll have you back again for sure, because I think learning from a lot of other people, and I think what we're trying to do is basically really truly give people an opportunity to learn from experts and make a lot of the things you talked about today. Is there's a lot of different information out there, and we're trying to just bring it all together and say these are the best of the best. Listen to what they're saying and doing, and learn from them. So
awesome. Thanks, Mike.
I'm glad you're here, my friend.
Yeah, I'll see you on episode 400, right?
Hopefully it won't be quite that long, but we'll definitely love to have you back again.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Mike. Bye.
Bye. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.